Hey everyone, today we're going to be replacing the grease surrounding the ball bearings on a ripstick. To get started, I took off the caster wheel and I set those pieces aside. Then you need a ratchet or a wrench, size 14mm or 9/16. 14mm fits the best, but the 9/16 will do in a pinch. I've actually already removed the front assembly, and I'm going to hold that up a little closer so that you can see. We have several pieces here. We have the ball bearings and a washer that goes on the top of the assembly. This is a small ring that protects the main bolt assembly from the grease, and this is the top of the caster assembly and with a bearing in the inside of it. This piece here is a gasket that keeps the grease from getting out and allows the caster to slide smoothly from left to right. The ring goes right on top of here to keep the grease out. The caster set goes right on top, and that is how the caster assembly looks when it's taken apart. When I first took apart the ball bearing assembly, there was quite a bit of grease that was pretty filthy, so I cleaned that out with the WD-40 you see here, and now I'm going to be using the white lithium grease. First, you'll want to place the ball bearings in a safe place where they won't just roll away. I'm going to use the styrofoam pad right now, and now I'm going to spread out a thin layer of the white lithium grease onto the bottom of the assembly. Now take the ball bearings and place them inside of the grease. Remember to keep the ball bearings together in the same assembly that you took them out of. Now that you have the ball bearings back in place in the assembly with the grease on them, place the gasket on top. This will keep the grease from getting out. Wipe any excess grease away from the edge. We'll set that aside, and then we'll take the top of the caster assembly and make sure that we wipe out all of the gunk. Once you have the caster clean, squeeze out another thin layer of the grease. Once you have both the top and the bottom piece complete, set the bottom piece back onto the bolt assembly. I set up a rig using a couple boards because the ripstick caster wheels are at kind of a slant and you don't want any of your bearings to roll away. So setting a couple boards out to level the caster assembly will help you out. Now take the ring that sat right on top of the bolt assembly. That will keep the grease from getting into the bolt assembly. Now take your caster and gently press it down on top of the assembly. Make sure that you can rotate your caster easily. Next, take the original nut and washer that you took off at the beginning of this tutorial. You'll be tightening these down by hand. Place the nut inside the washer and then place that inside of the bolt assembly. Start by tightening down the nut by hand. Once you've tightened the nut down by hand, you can use your wrench or ratchet. After tightening the caster, make sure that it still rotates freely. There was a little bit of grit in mine on the outside bearing, so it didn't rotate completely freely, but you can tell that it works better than before. Separately, I cleaned and lubricated the bolts, washers, and spacers for the Ripstik wheel. So now I'm going to put those back on. On a separate video, I went over how to replace your Ripstik wheels with just regular rollerblade wheels, and you can check that out here. When I cleaned my Ripstik parts off, I used WD-40, so when I get back on the Ripstik, I need to be careful. One final tip is that I recommend tipping your board on its side because putting the Ripstik wheels back on can be difficult. Now that you know how to replace the grease in the ball bearings of your Ripstik, you are ready to get back out there and race around. Thanks for watching.